It's like when comedy and tragedy meet. It's Netflix and film. That's gonna be that's my ad for it. When comedy and tragedy meet, Netflix and film. Whilst at the People's Improv Theater, my husband Matt had a best friend. He had two best friends he was performing with. Rebecca Johnson and Jim Festante. And Rebecca and I hit it off right away, and we became good friends. And there was this other performer at the People's Improv Theater who was just outstanding. Her name is Kimmy Gatewood. And so Kimmy and Rebecca had been talking about writing a show. Rebecca and I had talked about writing a show, and Rebecca was like, in the interest of me, can we all just get together? So the three of us got together, and we knew we wanted to sing, and we wanted to dance, and we wanted to be funny. And so how could we do those three things together? Kimmy loved the 40s. So we loved the idea of creating like a 1940s radio type of a show. And my mother has these two girlfriends that she's done tons of shows with. And one of the girls was in a show, who's my godmother. They were in a show together. And Pat Carroll, who's the voice of Ursula, was in the show and said to my mom, you and your friend, you guys are so funny. You like the Bobbsey twins, but you're women. So you I'm gonna call you the Apple Sisters. And she named them the Apple Sisters, and they had shirts made, and they had shirts that said and they were Ceedie and Cora. And so we stole their name. We stole the idea, we stole the name. And then we invented one extra one, Candy, since we had all three of us. And then that was that. We started doing the Apple Sister show at the People's Improv Theater in 2007. And it took off like gangbusters. We just were having so much fun, and we got a lot of attention for it. We got invited to the Montreal Comedy Festival, the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. We did really well there. And then we picked up agents and managers, and they were like, hey, why don't you guys move to LA? So we all decided we were going to move to LA. And at first we were all going to live in my mother's house, just to get us started.
Yeah.
And all of our prospective partners were on board. Matt and I were just dating. Rebecca and BJ, I think, had just gotten married. And Kimmy's husband, Matt, was living out here anyway. And then literally I had auditioned for Jersey Boys like 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. And can you come back in? And I was like, all right. And I went in and I auditioned, and they called me and they said, we'd love to hire you to be in the Las Vegas production of Jersey Boys. And I said, what? So talked to the girls, and we decided I could do both, because I'll be in Las Vegas, so I can just go back and forth. So that's what prompted the move to Las Vegas. In 2008. I moved to Las Vegas to do Jersey Boys. The girls moved to Los Angeles, and then we kind of kept Apple Sisters going for quite a few years after that, until we all started having babies and our careers were taking off in different ways.
That's where our timelines converged, because that's when I met you and Matt and Kimmy and Rebecca. And I know you did a few shows here locally, and I got introduced to the Apple Sisters. And what a wonderful trifecta of talent. And you do continue to do shows to this day. And I know you had a scene in a motion picture as those characters. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we got to LA, the girls were living there. I was going back and forth. We were doing shows at the UCB Theater and tons of other places. And we had gotten a lot of attention from Montreal. So we basically got booked. We got cast without having to audition for the movie Bridesmaids. Mm-hmm. And they pitched it to us as, we want to use you in this movie that has Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig and John Hamm. And we were like, what?
Right. Yeah.
It was originally written as like a barbershop quartet. And so the casting director was like, Allison Jones. She was like, no, you should use the Apple Sisters, because they can sing and dance. So we did. And that was such a magical experience, because there were so many women on set. Mm-hmm. It was so powerful and friendly and fun. Paul Feig was the director. He was just awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. So if someone wants to see your performance from Bridesmaids, how do they?
Good luck.
Yeah.
No, the experience of being on Bridesmaids was amazing. And also the post experience was too. They sent us an email who does this? The producer sent us an email saying there was just too much happening in the bridal scene that we had to cut your number, but it wasn't because of anything you did. We loved you guys. I mean, it was like overly gushing and just basically a nice way of saying you didn't make the movie. But it is in the deleted scenes. If you get the Blu-ray, you can find it in the deleted scenes. And so we still make money on it,
that's wonderful.
Residuals, which is wonderful.
Well, it's a gem of a movie. And I want to now wind it back a little bit because you mentioned Jersey Boys, and I want to talk about your experience in that because it ran for several years here. And if you could, hi, Shmiki.
Oh, Hero, I would like to talk about Jersey Boys. Walk like a cat, talk like a cat, walk like a cat, meow, 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 meow.
Okay. Jersey Boys was great. I had auditioned for that show so many times. I saw that. It's another show I saw. And, I always loved comedy. I always loved musicals. I would see musicals with big dance numbers and be like, I didn't study well enough to do that, but I always wanted to. I just love being in choruses. I love being part of an ensemble. And Jersey Boys has 3 women on stage. And that's it. And I saw the show and I was like, I could do that. They're not dancing that hard. The movement is specific, but not difficult. And the acting is fun and the songs are great. I could do this show. So that's also why I auditioned so many times. And they agreed with me almost every time. They were like, yeah, not yet. But I did. So I was hired as the swing, which for those of you who don't know what a swing is somebody who covers multiple roles in the show, but isn't on stage nightly. So they're in the building every night to make sure that if somebody goes down, they get sick in the middle of the show, they get injured or something, you can jump into that role so that you don't have to be missing somebody. Or if they get sick the day of, they can call out, or if they, take a vacation, you go on for them. So I was hired originally as the swing, and then I became the dance captain, which the dance captain of a show is maintains the integrity of anything set to music in a play or a piece. So basically, when the creatives leave, the stage manager is responsible for maintaining the integrity of the show, the acting, the everything. And then the dance captain is there to run rehearsals, to teach anybody new coming into the show what any movement is. And so I was the swing and the dance captain for that show. I started as the swing in 2008, and I closed the show in 2016.
Wow.
And I became the dance captain in, I think 2010. So
a long, very prominent run, and I saw you in it. And granted, it focuses on the lead male characters, if you will, but such a big lift from the support characters, and you played multiple roles, etc. Can you talk a little bit about that, or what an average show looked like if you were in for the evening?
Yeah, I love these questions, Phil. You're so cute. You're such a good interviewer. I hope Netflix sees us and hires you to do this.
Or sues me. I always say, or sues me.
Any press is good press. Yeah, I mean, the women are the unsung heroes of Jersey Boys, because there's 3 women on stage. So there's 4 women in the entire cast. So essentially their roles are Mary. Are you okay over there? Did you have a cat?
I have a cat that's getting up to no good. So my apologies.
Was it a catastrophe?
Yeah, I was going to put him on camera, but he was not having it. Okay.
Guess what? Jealous.
Okay. You have an acting cat. So this hired, first of all, on cue. I need a cat.
There's 3 women.
3 women.
Mary Delgado, who's Frankie's wife. Lorraine, I don't think she has a last name, Frankie's girlfriend. And then Francine, Frankie's daughter. Those are they're billed as Mary and others, Lorraine and others, Francine and others.
Wow.
And so let's say you are Francine, and you start the show, everybody's in the opening number, say Sarah Lowe, and then you run, after the end of that, you run off stage, you get changed really quickly, you come back on, you bring on a piece of furniture, you're in the next scene where Frankie is at the Seabreeze or whatever the club is. And then you run off and you change really fast and you come back on and your next date in this next quick one. And then you run off and you get changed really quick. And then you go across and you do short shorts and then you run off and then you change for short shorts and you come back on as the waitress in the next scene. So like in the first 15 minutes, you're in at least 6 different costumes and you're just running nonstop in heels. I have bunions, but I digress. So it's a fun show. It moves quickly. It's really well directed. The director, Des McAnuff.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's so seamlessly put together because there's, the stage is set and then there's a stairway across the top. And, there's one scene that's happening here. You're in like I said, like the Seabreeze or whatever the bar, the restaurant is, Frankie's singing and there's 3 tables and you're here. And then like the boss gets up and the boys follow and they go up the stairs and across and back down. And now you're in Jip's basement and it's the same stage, but they've just done it so well that it just, you can make it so many different spaces. And that is the execution of the director and the choreographer. And so it's just, I really, really love it. And the writers, Rick Ellis and Marshall Brickman wrote a great, fantastic piece. So it's just a good show. And it's still running off Broadway in New York City. Just reopened.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. And from that, we kind of head back to LA and what qualifies you to be on
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And you can catch all the episodes now on Netflix. It originally aired on the CW, and that's what qualifies me to be on Netflix and Phil. When the Apple Sisters originally went to Los Angeles, we started working with anybody that was at UC, different people. The girls met a ton of people because they were out there, and they started working at a bar speakeasy called whatever it was, but the Varnish. And they, like, so many different celebrities would come in and they would make friends with them, and then they would be in our show. So like Ryan Gosling and Olivia Wilde and we had we knew, like Rachel Bloom was a friend of ours way before she was, as famous as she is now. Catherine Burns was one of the dancers in our shows. Like we had these girls come in and do parts with us because they were just super funny and really talented. And they would, because we did a run at Largo for a little bit. And so that's when we would try to hire some of our more talented friends to come in and help out. And so I knew Rachel and Cat Burns from before. And then Rachel started her own television show and was starring and writing and producing, and it was amazing. And I would text her every now and then and be like, holy shit, you have a TV show.
Right.
She'd be like, I know, it's crazy. And then for season 2, they decided to do a full circle, a Busby Berkeley style, Ruby Keeler style opening number. And so Rachel called me and was like, we're doing this number, you have to be in it. To which I said, yes, please. And I think I had just had either Keeler or Hillier. I just had a baby, but it was so fun. It was like the most fun. I didn't know that TV could be fun because I had only ever done soaps before. So when I got to set and we were all in our, first we rehearsed like 2 days before, and Kat is a fantastic choreographer and so fun. And so we were like learning the numbers, and Dominique Kelly was the assistant on that one. And he's like choreographing all over the place. But Dominique Kelly was a kid when he did Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. Like he's like he's like a Broadway, and he's a dancer. And it's like where Kat is fun, Dom is also so fun, but he also would be like, again, you're not doing the right hand. And it was awesome. It was so good to like, those are the fun rehearsals for me, because they're like so scary, but also like you want it to look that good. So you want to be perfect, So season 2 opening, I got to be in that. And then Kat after that was like, would you ever want to assist me on any episodes? And I said, yes, I would love to. So season 3, I assisted on a couple episodes, including an episode where they sang a song called The First Penis I Saw, which features my mother.
So let's talk about the penis song and your mother's involvement, and also very easily accessible on YouTube if you want to watch.
Oh, yeah. Please take
number.
a moment, pause Netflix and Phil, go watch First Penis I Saw, and then come back to us.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So my mom right after I had my first son decided she was she had worked at General Hospital for a while. They were making some pretty serious changes and she didn't want to stick around for it. And so she decided to retire from that and was able to do so and get her pension. But then she was like, I think I want to start acting again. So my mom started, she knew a lot of casting directors. So she started doing background work because she was retired. So she's the perfect person to be on set. She just brings her knitting and has her stuff and she just loves it. She just loves being on a set. She just thinks it's so fun. So she had been acting and doing a couple of things. And Kat and Rachel called us and were like, oh my God, we have this number and we need like an older woman. Would your mom be interested? And she had just gotten to Vegas to come out for a visit. So I put her on tape, dancing around a little bit and singing. And it was so fun. And she booked it. And so then that was one of it's so fun because you rehearse first, right? So you get to just be in a room with Kat and whoever the lead is going to be in that song. And you rehearse and you do a couple different versions of it because, you have to figure out what the camera angles are and what the space looks like and all of that stuff. So, and Kat Burns is just incredible with that. She really understands choreography for camera. So I learned so much. But yeah, so my mom sings about penises into phallic vegetables.
Excellent. I mean, what more is there in life, really?
And the beauty of it was like, I grew up with Mama Rose being like, your hand is here, your fingers are here. They should be here. Your hand is here. It should be, you're using the wrong hand, And so this was where I could be like, Mom, you're not.
Yeah.
You need to step to the right a little bit. Gwen, look to this way. Gwen, look at the camera. Gwen, don't look at the camera. That was really fun. And yeah, so the whole fourth season, I convinced Catherine and the powers that be that she needed a full-time assistant, that she could hire other assistants, but that she needed somebody. She's the only person in her department, and she needed somebody who could help get the studio ready for her and make sure all that stuff is there, so she didn't have to do all that. And so the entire final season of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I got to be there for every number that they set, and it was a real treat. I met so many incredible dancers and other choreographers along the way, and got to watch Rachel Bloom up close and personal figure out. I mean, she wrote on the show, she acted on the show, she produced the show. She wore so many different hats, and she really did it beautifully, and kept it like a theater. Like the people that she had working with her everybody really got along, and you can kind of if you follow anybody on social media, you can see they all still hang out and take care of each other. So it's really nice. It was a great environment. It was a really great show.
Well, and I imagine hard to come by. I, of course, don't have any experience in that realm, but, when everything seems to click and you're comfortable with your team, I imagine that's just, could potentially be once in a lifetime.
It's not often that you have an ensemble piece, right? And it didn't have to be. Rachel, is essentially the star and they are the ensemble around her, but she always played as the ensemble and was always a part of it. So she made it, she kept that environment really upbeat. And, the same thing is said for Rebecca and Kimmy, were on the Netflix show Glow, and they were cast as a wrestling duo. And, there were definitely different tiers of this person is the star, this person is a featured character, this person is a supporting, this is, but none of that mattered when they were all working together, when they were wrestling together and learning all that stuff. The bond that they had was so strong, and they were able to keep that going as well. They all love each other and still, get together to this day.
And it's quite apparent in regard to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Glow, as you mentioned. I just want to say, just female-driven entities and projects.
There's something to be said for that, man.
Yeah.
You know, women love to create and co-create, and not that men don't, but there's just something to understanding that it's okay to ask for help and get it and work together. And I remember Aline Brush McKenna was the executive producer and one of the directors and writers. She's the co-creator of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She wrote Devil Wears Prada. And there was one day on set where in a Video Village is what they call village, you know, where they have the monitor set up and the director is in there and the producers, and just went like, it's all women in here today.
Yeah.
Pretty great. And it was, we had a female director that day, Kat, the choreographer, the EPs, everybody in the room was the writers who were in there. Everybody in that village was women. And it was just kind of a really, you know, for as progressive as we are, there's always a dude around. And it really was kind of empowering to see that, you know, women supporting women and helping create that.
Something to celebrate. And also, as you said, just to kind of recognize and, hey, let it become a norm, right? And just, you know, okay. So speaking of collaborating with women, that brings me to what may be my final question. Tell me about the podcast and its genesis.
Chelsea Phillips-Reid is somebody who I've always loved. And we met obviously here in Las Vegas. I can't even remember how we originally met, but Chelsea Phillips-Reid she's done a ton of stuff around town, but she was doing 50 Shades, the musical parody with my husband, Matt Donnelly. And I married him.
Yes.
Bore 2 children. Anyway, so Chelsea Phillips-Reid is the MC of Magic Mike Live here in Las Vegas, now playing at the Sahara. It's a fantastic, it's not a male review. I mean, it is in a way, but it isn't. These guys are dancers. It is not Chippendales. Don't get me wrong. Mama loves Chippendales. And Chelsea is just incredible. And she gets the audience, you know, to come along for the ride. And, but anyway, her and I were having a discussion once about, especially I think in Las Vegas, I find it more so, but these side hustles that we do along the way of our career, right? Where you have your normal job, but then, or you don't, right? If you have a gig like Magic Mike or 50 Shades or Jersey Boys, you have a paycheck coming in, but sometimes you can use more money, or sometimes people ask you to do things because you're a performer, or sometimes you don't have those gigs and you're just getting by with little side hustles along the way. And Chelsea and I were talking about some of the craziest ones we've did, and like how little we got paid, or where we were at, or what we saw there, or the extreme circumstances. And so we started saying, like, everybody we know has at least a story like this. We should start a podcast. We should talk about it. So that's the podcast is called The Side Hustle with Chelsea and Sarah. And that's what we do. We interview friends and, celebrity friends as well, and try to have them tell us about their weirdest, wackiest, most wonderful side hustle.
So check it out. It's available on a multitude of platforms.
Yes, anywhere you can get a podcast, it's there.
A podcast. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with me. And although we didn't say it before, you're such a generous player when we improvise on stage, but also I love calling you friend. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Don't be emotional on me. I love you. I've been such a fan of yours for years and years. I just think you're wonderful. I was just gonna say, I didn't get to ask you any questions. What made you?
Oh, please. Yeah, while I'm all teary.
I want to first ask you, what made you want to start Netflix and Phil?
It was just out of necessity, because during the pandemic, which is still going on, mind you, depending on when you're watching this, there might be an alien in 2045 that'll come across this footage and be like, "Oh, anyway."
Crazy ex-girlfriend.
Well, I started creating just vignettes on YouTube. You know, a lot of people took time to kind of just delve into things creatively. So I created a series, that wasn't Netflix and Phil, that nobody watched. And then I got the idea to do Netflix and Phil, and it just used to be me remarking upon or reviewing content on that channel. And then I started inviting people to talk about shows on that channel with me and review it. And now it's transitioned and morphed into, well, hell, there's people I know on Netflix shows that I can bring on that can talk about their experience with those shows.
Something about you, Phil, that your listeners and watchers and voyeurs should know is you have such a talent for so many things. You are extremely funny. You're extremely charming. You're an incredible host. And I love that you're doing this because it was such a weird thing to be locked away from people and not being able to do the thing that we love, including improvise. Like, to be told that singing and comedy and anything in a theatrical space was like horrifying. And I love that you took it. We could have just sat and done nothing, right? But you didn't. And I miss performing with you. This has been such a treat for me, and I love you so much. And I can't wait to get on stage with you again sometime. Also, you had the greatest idea for a one-man show that, say the title. It was like,
I don't know. I've conceived of many. There's one that actually made it to stage called Philoween, but is there another one that you're thinking of?
Philoween is so good, and I love that you do that. I love Philoween. You were like, let's do a one-man show together, which I always love. And it was like Phil's one-man show with Sarah Lowe or something.
Definitely. Any one-man show I invite. You say ensemble. It's always an ensemble effort. I have backup dancers. I have other characters, it's never one man.
That's my favorite. That's just such a great, that's pure comedy. That's comedy gold, Yeah,
I think you and I can remember discussions. You'd be in LA traffic and I'd be in Vegas and I'd be like, so what do you think of this Phil Fest one-man show featuring Sarah Lowe or something like that? We would bandy that about quite a bit. So I want to thank you for your time, and to bring us home, you and I are both a fan of a very special community access show which has new life on YouTube called Stairway to Stardom.
Yeah.
So let me get the spotlight. Dim the house lights.
I think we should actually turn the house lights up because this could be a sing-along, and this should be on both of us. We love Stairway to Stardom. There's a particular song that I just want to analyze, and I actually was like today, like, wouldn't it be great to like make it a short film of like what her process was for this song, what her picking of her outfit was. I'm talking about the song Hairdresser. What's her name? Lucille. What's her last name?
Castaldo. Link below.
This is over 4 minutes. Okay. This is over 4 minutes. It changes. It has a whole different song in the middle of it. And then comes back to, and then ends for about a minute and a half with her just kind of riffing. And I gave a little nod to it earlier, but it's called Hairdresser. And she does hairdresser, hairdresser, oh, hairdresser, hairdresser. And I'm tired, I'm worried, I'm late. She looks at her watch. She's so concerned. And then she says, tease it up. What a tease. And then she changes and does a whole different song about Tease Louise.
So I will put access to that in the description below. So very accurate imitation, by the way, Sarah. So
thanks. I'm working on it. It'll be my next one-man show.
Featuring Philip Best.
Yes.